design. Just like a found a portal to another time. A channel with a mystical flare. Gotta make the light sunset and clear. 369 time mission, please take me to the higher place. I'm locking my intuition, feeling spirit's embrace. From the back to psychic abilities, tarot cards and more. I'm catching all the vibes like I never did before.
Goodbye.
Because I've had a group of people, it's like, am I dead and don't know? Because the answer is kind of yes, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a very simple way to I guess say it. But
how can I explain this? The labels is what's kind of puts the filter on your brain of how you view it. But basically, when you know that everything is happening all at the same time, all at once, it's these different levels, right? So the way I view this is kind of like a computer matrix that we are in. It's a grid system. If you apply everything that we do, basically everything that we create and do is a duplication of what we are. From our energy to the actual physical body, the things that we create are based on what we are. Since this is a computer matrix, which is a computer, if you think of a grid system, if we're functioning on a certain plane, that means that there's a duplication of that same energy on another plane. So this is kind of like how you meet like your soul group or soul tribe of people that remember you from other lives. People that kind of gravitate towards you.
no, I was gonna say. So I think that's where maybe I can get hung up. So you're saying, so basically, like a parallel is like a parallel dimension, or like a like you said, everything happening at the same time, right? Because it is, and this is just what we're tapped into right now.
Yeah.
So that's like the part that I maybe a little remedial, but I'm still grasping that. So we're tapped in right here, right now. That's why this is what I'm focusing on right now. So what you're saying is, in the grid, the same thing is happening too, with a different version.
Yeah, you have to draw a picture really to see it. Think of a plane, right? We're on this plane, and there's another plane, same thing, different little variations, but it's like you're on this one, you can still be on this one. Same people that you know on that plane, you're going to eventually cross them on this plane, but they may not be the same characters. They may not be your brother or your sister, your mother or your father. They might be somebody else on that different plane. But it's like you cross paths and you'll be like, I know you, and you have this energy bond. So you may become friends in that other plane. You may become lovers in that plane. But you know that there is some type of connection beyond what you were taught. And then it's also like time isn't what you think it is. Time is real hard to explain. It doesn't actually exist. It's a perception.
Right. I mean, it simplifies things like for the human mind. Okay. So I'm actually going to go back. I'm going to backtrack really quick. Going back to what you were saying with the different characters. So I have a different understanding. It could be all of these things, right? But like, it's my understanding that like, when we, I guess, decided to come here or whatever, like signed up for our roles or whatever, those same people, like you were saying on the planes, like, so maybe someone was my brother or my sister, they might be like my father, or like a cousin or something on this side, right? But over here, this is what they were. It was my understanding that those would be two like separate lifetimes. So like someone that could have been like my sister in a different lifetime, because we're part of the same soul tree or grouping or family, we're going to be together on all of the journeys, right? But just with different characters. But what you're saying is that it's happening at the same time, but
Yeah,
differently.
because this is like when you do a reading, and then when somebody says, well, I'm picking up past life issues or
Right.
trauma, that label itself, past life, can be misleading, because that's what we're taught to use that word to. You are, and then your perception of how you view it is, you'll feel it as it happened before. There really is no such thing as before and after. That time dilation is what we use to describe the event. To us, we'll just say it's past, but it really could be parallel.
Got it.
Because it's happening at the same time. But that same energy can coincide with that person because it is a part of their multiplicity existence. You're a multi-dimensional being, multifunctional.
So we're living in it's a program, right? What let's say that it's like going back to the grids that you were saying. There's a me over here and a me over here, and we're all coexisting at the same time, right? This is just what I'm honed in on. What does that even look like when you involve the spirit world? Like, is the spirit world, is that the spirit realm, I should say, right? Is that part of a program as well? How does one tie into another? And how is it that we live in a matrix, right? And we're multi-dimensional beings. Okay, that's fine. Then where does our soul essence eat? Because, and maybe it's the way my brain works, because I'm looking at it like two ways. So we're in a matrix, right? To me, that's very cut and dry, very much ABC. It's a program. It's written, very calculated, right? But then at the same time, being a multi-dimensional being, right, it's quite the opposite. At least it feels that way of a program. I don't know how to say it, but it's like on one hand we have the matrix, which is very simply put like computer programming, right? And then on the other hand, you have a very like fluid, soul warm, multi-dimensional properties. Like, how is that coexist? How is that all the same thing? How do they tie into each other? Like, that's for me something that I ponder and I just don't. I have no answer. And it's not even so much as simple as the answer is within me. I don't know what doors I need to unlock within me, but I would really like to understand.
All right, this is my breakdown. Since we are a chaotic energy, we're all things everywhere at the same time. In order for that chaotic energy to start forming some type of understanding, there has to be some type of linear movement. That's where the time and stuff starts coming in. You start collapsing things, fragmenting things to form storylines. Because chaotic energy is everywhere all at the same time. We just believe that we can't be everywhere all at the same time because of what we're taught. But this matrix itself, or what's the word, fragmented to where we see it more. So we have the stars, right? We have ley lines. The stars, astrology, those stars aren't actually in a line. They're not like Orion's belt isn't actually a straight line of stars. They're not even by each other. We just perceive it as that.
Right.
But with these stars and these ley lines that we notice on the ground and the ocean, that certain things happen at certain points on the ground and above based on where this light is at and at this point at the ground. We get our facial features based off the ley lines and the stars, our existence, what we look like. So that's the same thing as grafting. When you're on a computer and you're making an image, you have a grid system, which you have a vertical lines, you have points. It's like an XY axis, XYZ axis for us.
I got it. Okay, so that just brought that into, okay, so that makes sense. And so what you're saying is like, That's how the different properties. I think I get what you're saying. I don't really know how to say it, but I think I understand what it is that you're saying. So if certain things are lined up on the grid, I guess, so to speak, in the program, that's what determines what is happening now here versus what is happening now
somewhere in another plane, in another dimension.
Right.
Yeah,
and then there's the layers to the shit. So on this layer, right here at this coordinate, at this that's what's happening here in this now. But in this now over here, because you're on this layer right here, I think that's how I don't really know how.
And it's not supposed to be uniform. Keep trying to understand it in a uniform way of we're all seeing it at different points in time. That's why you have certain people that say, hey, I'm from this planet, or this person says I'm from another time, because that's what their memory and experience is on right now. Everybody's experience is different. So the only way we can ever really understand it all collectively, we have to share information. We have to talk to each other. We have to share these experiences.
This powerful creative card will give you the blessings of a quick, powerful, and very creative mind this period, and to a lesser extent for the entire year. This power can be applied with great success to any project that involves writing or other creative mental pursuits. You may even get some ideas for projects that are far ahead of their time. This card can also represent an initiation into a new way, or for of thinking or communicating.
Another person, like you said, Cat Williams, you sent me the thing about Cat Williams. Yeah, now he said, okay, there's a God because there is something for everything, which isn't true. He's saying blanket statements. So when you make blanket statements, some people get, yeah, that does make sense. You're just making blanket statements. You're not actually deep diving into everything. Because it's like, okay, so what's the purpose of all these predators, insects, bugs, worms, stuff that really don't actually have a purpose? I didn't have bugs in the other life that I existed in. This is a new thing that freaked me out. So it's
okay.
Like I don't like bugs. I don't see any purpose for them at all.
Well, bees. So if that one thing they were talking about was bees. Bees do a lot. I'm not gonna break it down because I don't want to get too off topic.
I think it was just we created it though. I still think we created all this stuff.
Well, who is we? Like that's the thing. It's like we, as in a whole bunch of us's, or we as in one, just like one source that we are all little tentacles of.
I don't know. To me, this is like a purgatory, heaven and hell matrix that there are multiple entities in here. You can say it's a whole. You can also say that this matrix is actually a person or a brain.
Well, one big brain, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah. It's so many things that you can call it because that's the purpose of being multifaceted, multifunctional, multidimensional. And that's the part that people forget. It's like you keep trying to fragment it into this small compartment when you're an abundance of things. So when you're trying to even understand the information, you keep trying to fragment it and restrict it versus accepting what you really are. So when I look at bees and certain animals, because when I was in school, we were taught certain things, and that's what makes me feel like we're constantly going through Mandela effects and don't even realize it. So when I was in school, I was taught that chickens and the eagle were created from the dodo bird. So even as a child, I'm like, okay, so they already had the technology to clone and duplicate way back then. But now in the history books and everything, they teach us that chickens been around and eagles been here since forever, and it's a part of ancient history. And I'm just like, so the information just keeps changing. It changes to adapt to the thought of belief. Whatever makes you believe, that's what it changes to. Cats and dogs were also created. They were genetically modified from bears and wolves and lions and leopards.
I was gonna say, so you weren't taught, I think, what was it? Not Darwinism. evolution? You weren't taught that? You were taught that it
They
was
they put that in there too. They put that evolution, which evolution sounded fake because that didn't make sense. How did it evolve and nothing? It just stopped evolving. But I already did my research on Darwinism. You just have to do your research on that. Even evolution.
That's what we were taught anyway.
Yeah.
It's so strange because I have had an experience, well, probably multiple, but just one that I'm able to remember as it was somewhat recent within the last year, where I wrote it down, even though it wasn't a dream, but I didn't really know how else to like classify it. But like I was not asleep, but I was not, I guess, fully awake. Like I had just come out of sleep, but I wasn't asleep. I don't really know how else to say it, but I did have a thing where I was like in a dream state, you could say, where I jumped off of a bridge, right? But jumped off of a bridge into water, but the water ended up being a tube, a really like long tube. And when I say I wasn't like asleep, I remember like I felt everything. I was fine, like I wasn't scared. Like I intentionally did this, and it was like I ended up being somewhere else. It was like time was passing, like, and I could almost feel like wind, if you want to say. I can't really, but it was a tube, and it was like dark purpley. Anyway, I ended up on this, I guess you could say, ship. Yeah, maybe like a ship or something. And actually, I haven't even really spoken this out loud, but anyway, we get there because it was me and like other individuals, and it was like this general or like sergeant or someone in charge that was basically like barking commands, and I don't remember what it is, he was saying. I just remember the feeling, and me feeling like, okay, I have to take in all of this information, like, telling myself, pay attention, and just taking in all this information. And like, just remember, like, I didn't have a fear, I wasn't scared, but it was more like a focus. I have to get this information, and everybody was like focused on what this general was telling us. And then we were like sprayed down with this really cold fluid. Was that, I guess you could say, it was like water, but it was freezing cold. And I remember having the thought that it was uncomfortable, I guess you could say. And then as soon as I was like sprayed down, I woke up, but I wasn't asleep. And I immediately, like, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, but I didn't forget, and I was awake. I can't explain it though, but I wasn't asleep. And so I have nowhere to place that experience because
you're shifting into one of your other selves. You're catching yourself shifting into one of your other selves. That's what that is. As I always tell people to do this, like before you go to sleep. I'm pretty sure you've done this, probably like said something like as you were falling asleep, and then be like, what the fuck did I just say? Because you start talking, because you're shifting into that other person, your other self of you. And then you might dream for like a quick second, and you done seen a whole bunch of shit, and you wake up and like, what the fuck was that? So when you're trying to start catching yourself go into that other life and be aware. And most of the time we're usually focused on the body, how the body feels. We're listening to the breathing, or we're feeling our arm, our leg or something, and it kind of distracts us from falling into that sleep. But just try to write that down. Catch yourself when you're blurt out something, when you kind of just shift and catch yourself right before that sleep. It's like, okay, I'm finna fall into another dimension of myself, but I need to pay attention and just watch. Don't panic. Don't try to judge it. Just watch.
I'm gonna try to do that tonight. That's what I'm gonna do. Just try to catch it. See. I feel like I got homework.